And our first opening reader is Jano Akulu.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, thank you so much for opening the space, CD. And yes, my name is John O. I use any and all pronouns. I'm a poet from the South by way of Texas and the Middle Passage in Nigeria. And I'm just super honored to be opening for a wonderful, beloved poet, Maya, who has my whole heart, and their work does so many things that are so important, and I can never imagine to speak to it all, but I wanted to kind of lean into a couple of things that I see a lot in their work, including like the divine and including love. And so I'll be sharing two pieces. The first one is called Peri-apocalypse. Peri-apocalypse meaning the present, the now, apocalypse, the prevailing one, especially in colonial states that we're living in. So I'll start. In the peri-apocalypse, we're a dying species. We tried to triangulate the moment our worlds began to collide, the precise hour of our unraveling, the moment our voices first danced in harmony, the goodbye hug that stank of awkward and lasting memory, a lunch table for two on your side of town. We have to sit on opposite sides of the room now if we want to accomplish anything more than convergence. This time you gave in and nested yourself deep in my body, and together all over we became refuge from the blight. In the end, I see our hearts on fire. Who will get to decide in the end if our sprints of productivity mattered more than movie nights and good cries? In the mornings, I wake up and pray to you and your power to slow down the turn of the earth. May we pass the slow hours together. It's the end of our time, and we're two birds on a line in a fateful standoff with the sunrise. The next one I'll be sharing is Altar Call. And this is one I really love. And again, it kind of leans into the divine and legacy of family heritage. It goes like this. This one's for the grandmothers I never met, who tried to fashion saints out of sin, whose saltwater skin dried brittle on opposite sides of the Atlantic, whose children found each other on the bridgeway toward their heaven and built a home from their ashes and hid their scars in the attic so that little feet could be unburdened. To the fathers once young enough to taste sugar, to know sweetness, come to me. Lay down your swollen arteries beneath the edifice of your legacy. Lay your head on my chest and water my skin in your tears. Make claim to the promises you made to yourselves. Claim the promises you made to your children, to your wives, the ones you kept, the ones you did not. You are whole and broken here at my altar by the sea. For the family I cannot know, I shed myself raw under candlelight, humming soft and bowing low, tuned into your echo. I watch the water on my altar. I receive the message through the medium. To the ancestors, wherever you are, I dedicate myself to you. I reclaim unity, umoja. Bathe me wholly, wash me numb, cleanse the taste of soap and sin from my tongue as I wrestle with the pains of broken men, with exploded dreams and shattered hearts told they couldn't love the way their whole essence of their being begged them to. Take me to your river. Lay me down beneath your water. Can you breathe for me with lungs cleared of soot and ash? Take me to the coastline. Reach a hand from below and I'll take it. Show me the depths you reached in your escape to freedom, back to life. Take me back to the land that knew the birth of our people before it knew our death. To a world that is listening. Do you hear the trickle of the water? Do you hear the splashing of the waves? Do you hear the cry of the Earth Mother? Can you feel the rain? What can we do to protect our waters? Thank you.
So wonderful. Thank you so much, Jono. I especially loved the we lay claim to the promises you made to yourself, that moment of taking and just ownership, and how it like moves into the water conceits and in and out of that is just so wonderful. Thank you. Our next opening reader that we have will be Allie Hintz.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much to Open Mouth for having me. And it was wonderful to hear your poems, Jono. I hope one day to read more of your work. So I am local to Fayetteville, Arkansas. I've been lucky to be attending Open Mouth events for 4 years now because I'm part of the University of Arkansas's MFA program in creative writing and translation. This is my last year, so I will be graduating soon, and I have 2 poems from my thesis to share with you today. First off is Metamorph. Metamorph. I saw orange, and I think that's because you said pumpkin. I still don't understand your analogy, yet sweaty sheets slathered my eyes with melted Schwann's tangerine push-up pop. By that, I mean I saw pumpkin. I mean orange. I mean I dissociated. And I mean that good. I mean that joy. I mean that beneath my eyeballs, I became color. I know you don't understand, but understand it is good. And I love orange. And by that, I mean I love you. I love you in words, in me, in bed, in pumpkin beds, and red beds, and river beds with bedhead, in fields of cabbage heads popping out of their beds, in fields of thought and fields of study, and even fields of lava where we pillow together, and our faults crack away, and we rapture orange. Thank you. Okay, next one is part of a series. I call it Tomato Series because it follows the process of growing a tomato from seed all the way to the eating portion. So this is the eating portion. Feasting. Tonight, we'll eat the moon. Mama's moon, Poppy's moons, Irish great-grandmother who pretended she was Italian's moons, stuffed with parsley, ricotta, parmesan. Yes, tonight we'll feast on the moon, dig our teeth into the moon, ton the moon, swallow the moon. Yes, we gather here today, friends and family all, in front of Mama's great spaghetti bowl, cratered in white like, yes, the moon, filled with ravioli moons, handmade with love, rolled with a broomstick, boiled to perfection. Yes, tonight we'll eat all the moons until our bellies moon out, and we'll guzzle our fill of red wine, and we'll go outside and howl at the moon. Yes, just like Hank Williams. Yes, and when we're done, we will have vanquished the moon. Yes, vanquished. The sun will arise, and our bellies will deflate, and the only moon that will be left will be Mama's bowl, bloody with tomato sauce. Thank you all.
In both of these poems, I love the excess that is going on. Both of these just starting, and then where we end up with color and just texture, and I mean, just yeah. As folks have also said, tonight we'll eat the moon. It's just a fantastic start to a poem that continues to get more and more fantastic. So thank you for reading this. Cannot wait to read the other tomato poems to see how we get here, but thank you. Our next opening reader is Carla Hernandez Torrijos.
Hi everyone, I'm Carla, pronouns are she, her. I'm seated next to 2 little towers of books, and I'm wearing a green sweater as a visual identifier. I'm just really excited to be here today. My head has been kind of foggy all day, so I'm so excited and happy to be amongst poets. I'm going to be reading a series that I wrote after I was tasked with the idea of walking through your neighborhood, and I decided to write about walking through your neighborhood and you see ghosts. It starts with a quote by Lee Younglee. I enter without retreat or help from history, the days of no day, my earth of no earth. I re-enter the city in which I love you. Lee Younglee. All these dead poets at my ear and no original ways to say I love you. I'll say it plain. I love you. Poems clogging the veins of my city, whispering memories back to a man who is one. No line, no sonnet could untangle you from me. If I were a formalist, I might gift you 14 lines in lieu of a dozen roses for every year or kiss I felt you robbed me of. If I were a better poet, I might have built myself a city clean of your name by now, yet the city remains as I have always known it. Now I see the stars were street lamps, nothing more. I walk through forgotten alleys, potholed roads. The world still spins, ambivalent to loss. Someday soon, yellow-vested man will pour new concrete where once we stood. The window shutters close on the failing businesses. New ones emerge while I forget to notice the world, moving on without me. A meadowlark sings its song. The city is rotted now, but will bloom again. With each new spring, it sheds old skin, becoming something else entirely. And so too will I. So too will I. The dead at my feet, and I have no words to bring them home again. An elegy for whose remains, an ode for who remains among us. Small line of headlights following one after another, machinery mimicking a firefly's dance, returning home to a brighter light, or a small god, or perhaps the open mouth of more snow as it blankets everything, even our fears. Not such a maudlin martyr most days, but this neighborhood is haunted by you. Though you might not remember our love, these streets still do. Small specters of past loves crashing into one another, chiming like bells do. On city street and corner stoop, I turn around, certain I've just heard your August laughter, but it is merely the leaves, dancing like they do with one another. Reminder, I am alone. Certainly, I knew loved ones faultless and untouched by time's soft caress, but I have loved you like city skyline, jagged and perfect though it be. I have loved you as I have loved this neighborhood, through the new fault lines and your new smile lines, through its many phases and its many faces, I say thank you. Imperfect, yes. Mine also. The wind runs its fingers through our hair. Distant sirens play accompanying notes to dance along to. The city hums a fluorescent neon love of us. Remember double dutch? Remember patty cake, hopscotch? Chalk outlines on sidewalk squares used to mean something else as children. Meant games in September before the syrupy slow streal of summer heat seeped in. Laughter ricocheting off plastic slide and swing set seat in recess. Once it didn't cost to dream. Yet now we can't afford to recall the bittersweetness of being so small and cared for by hands not our own. I'm too young to be this weary. Still, I've been building lifeboats for the big what if. Still, I remember childhood and peeling crafter's glue off my hands when the imaginary was a friend and all I carried could fit inside a show and tell shell. And I truly believed the sea was trapped inside. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. That was a gorgeous reading, and just the shape and form of this poem and the way it moves between moments and the gorgeous moments of camera work, and like this ultimate associative, like jumping between place and emotion and memory and how each of those are tethered together are just so beautiful. Thank you for reading that. And our final opening reader this afternoon is Sarah Barch.
Hello, thank you for allowing me to be here. I am sitting in front of a tapestry of an old painting with trees and a little pond. And a little bit about me, I am in the MFA program at the University of Arkansas right now, but I'm originally from Mississippi, and I'm going to read two very weird Southern fantastical poems. The first is called 7 Years as a Disaster Artist in a Small Town Named Iuka. Everyone's heard that if Bill Gates drops a $100 bill, it's not even worth it for him to pick it up. For me, it was the pennies. They were everywhere and spilling out of me onto the ground like an avalanche. In some ways, this just came with the territory. In a small town, it was always small things that led to disaster. The old men break their backs beaking at pecans whose leather skin has already browned. The old women stash lapel pins like Santa in cookie tins. And I have started collecting words and funny little sayings about the moon and other small round things like fish eggs. We are all made up of atoms and all out of time. Could someone show me the door to the other universe where you didn't go into the attic, where you didn't forget the recipe for lasagna? We wait for tragedy, and when it strikes, we find we've used all our miracles on an open parking spot and making it on time to the orthodontist. On the road to the hospital, there was a horse on the roof of a barn. And the whole way there, all we talked about was whether or not it was real. It was only on the way back, when the sun was setting, that we saw it was not, because of how still it was against rotations of light. In my dreams, I fly past construction paper sky and rows of houses all made of felt. They are blurry like the ones in the eye exams or the ants on the bottom of your shoe. All right. This next poem that I'm going to read is called Wild Swans, and it's taken from an H.C. Andersen fairy tale by the same name, which is about this pack of 11 brothers that get turned into geese and this sister who has to save them by sewing something, of course, right? Okay, so this is my take on that fairy tale. Wild Swans. This is a story about the brothers who would take bites from my sandwiches and walk to school every day like a pack of hyenas, wearing all the same shirt with a dinosaur on the front and carrying toy guns at their sides. On the day that the water level shrank and the river dried up and the crowds gathered around the footprints, I thought I had lost them, but they were just upstairs, too scared to come down. And now the dog that runs along the fence barks at me while I wait for the yellow bus at the end of the road alone. I did, I admit, start to miss how they would carry me on their shoulders, like how ants might carry a crumb or a slice of leaf. And I miss their wide smiles after feeding, the way they let me wipe the tiny stains off their glowing faces. So when the preacher came and knocked on the door while the brothers banged around upstairs like mice, I had to admit that I was embarrassed. It sounds, he said, like you were in trouble. I agreed and asked for a miracle. He thought for a while. When he finally answered, he was not looking at me. You must not, he said, trouble God with your unbelief. He gave me a handkerchief, and I saw tears in his own eyes. My darling, he said, here is how to fold your hands. This is something only you can do. And so I prayed, When I found them upstairs, lying on the blue carpet, their teeth were scattered on the ground like glitter, glowing by the light of the moon. Great. Thank you all.
Oh, both of them are just so great at presenting things that feel so familiar, but also feel very off and very, very unfamiliar at the same time, which is just feels very difficult to do. It feels very pulled off. So well here, the fantastic, but the kind of strange, the unknown. Just I trust it so much here, and I love that. Thank you. These are the beginning of the first one. I also just love. We start with the anecdote about Bill Gates, and then it was the pennies. I'm like, I want to know about these pennies. Thank you for reading both of these. Our next reader, we are out of opening readers. Thank you all for doing such a wonderful job of creating a space of poetry for us. Fantastic. We are going to hear from Maya Salameh. So Maya Salameh is the author of How to Make an Algorithm in the Microwave from the University of Arkansas Press and Rue from Paper Nautilus. She's the youngest ever winner of the 2022 Etel Adnan Poetry Prize and a finalist for the 2022 previously published Poetry Prize and 2020 Sublingua Prize for Poetry. They have served as a National Student Poet, America's highest honor for youth poets, and received fellowships from the William Mayle Foundation, Institute of Museum and Library Services, the Institute for Diversity in the Arts, the Marquez Resource Center, and Martha's Vineyard Institute of Creative Writing. Their work has appeared in Poetry, the Rumpus Agni Asian American Writers Workshop, KPBS, and the LA Times, among others. They could be found on Twitter and on their website. We're very excited to have Maya read for us. Maya Salameh.
Hi, everyone, and a special thank you to the opening readers. I feel so honored to get to share this virtual stage with you all and to get to hear your wonderful poems. Yeah, thank you to everyone who shared and opened for me. It's an honor to be opened for by such talented writers and storytellers. I have a couple poems for you guys tonight. I see some folks have hopped into the document. Good. Let me know if anyone has trouble opening that up. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot lately about excuse me, thinking a lot lately about the city and place. And earlier today, I got to host a workshop with Open Mouth about ritual as origin and as aware for folks for whom where or home and place can be complicated and not equivocal. So this first poem is called Sleep Apnea with City Block. One night the street is to the left, the next its artery is repaved. 916, my mother watches me in the bathroom, the house shrinks to the fabric across my breast, and haven't I been good? Crossed my legs for the priests and capitalists. 61, it takes me 4 neighborhoods to fall asleep. I scrape the skin off nectarines. 916, the rich devour my coast, buying homes by the same ocean that stole so many husbands. The sea is the last wife, and teenagers dump electronics in her lap. 619, it's the end of January, and I'm still anemic. 91, I pull her shirt and make myself an altar. 61, a street is built like this. An icon sold a limb of cement, a relic found the internet. I stashed the orange moon under my 5th molar, and it's been feeding me ever since. 916, a lemon grove looks like the Mediterranean from 2 blocks down, and once I dreamt I had a daughter, and I never slept again. 91 Saida, like cicadas in August. 61, I am singing. It is the rosary again. 916, I want to be ordinary, intact as a man in uniform. 91, I sing like an elegy with a city in it. So that's our first poem for you all. I'm also really glad that we have like a set list document, because some of my poems, part of their work is the shape. This poem is inspired by the form of recursion, which in the very basic bare bones computer science, the only computer science class I've ever taken, taught me about the algorithmic principle of recursion and repetition, which to me as a poet with whose origins and foundation come from spoken word, you'll know that repetition is one of the most common magics of spoken word, or at least in my experience. So this first poem is called Logarithm 14. Recursion. Emulsion, gears, teeth, recursion, bent. Recursion, I was a boy growing up, new algorithm with crinkles around it that demonstrate the age to which I survived. I'm still lipsticked somewhere, inebriating the room. There's Venus remnants in my ears and my throat is full. I gesture like the Colorado. I am old enough to be conscripted. Bent. Between my ribs, it smells like cigarettes and cracked oranges. Recursion, there's no difference between musicians and women. I am 153 pounds, 5'8", bent. I am a growing boy who forgets to eat. I'm wearing my Get Cat called jeans, cracked algorithm, Europa, Io, Metis, my gender, Callisto. Recursion, teeth, emulsion, girl, gears, moon. Girl. The sound raw. Sound of a fine auntie who's lived the definition saying mashallah, like watching a man with your uncle's name tease a woman named Yasmin, or during World War I, a British and French blockade 1915 to 18 of the Syrian coastline impeded the entry of food and caused the deaths from starvation of more than 100,000 people, a quarter of the population. Analysts lining up and one by one tracing my lips, girl bins, I array my testament body like all I ask is a witness and maybe my eyes. Riddled with the inherited potential for cataracts, I clattered through the artery of the road. Do we inherit hungers? Mercury, a geometrician, shuffling back into her jeans. I grew up making saints out of men. So the majority of these poems come from my debut full-length collection, How to Make an Algorithm in the Microwave, which talks a lot about Arab American girlhood, California, and really is just a love letter to my neighborhoods on this continent and the next. And this poem is some new shit. So I'm excited to read it with you all. Yeah, just some stuff that I've been playing with as I continue my thinking about surveillance technologies and the continuously strange, vulnerably and viscerally intimate relationships that we have with our phones, and particularly me with mine. But this is 36C with citations. Me and my pointed face on TikTok watching the new body checking trend. Turn your face to the side and record it. More thorough biometric information for the CIA. We surveil our faces for the screen. We measure our noses and lips, calculate our beauty for the state. Me and my anti-feminine nose. If I tweeze the hairs off my jaw, will my nose look smaller? Should I mold my forehead, my hairline to make my forehead look smaller? Should I shorten my smile so my mouth doesn't look so wide? I landscape my heavy parts. One of my favorite performers on the app, short 20-ish thing, sings exclusively in corsets, eyes wide open. Like a woman hunted by the knowledge she could be a little more beautiful. Thank you. This next poem, and thank you to the work of our interpreter. Please let me know if it would be helpful for me to talk slower. I know that I can go fast when I read, but thank you for your work. This next poem is called At the End of July, We Saw a Brown Bear from 10 feet away, and I asked about what attracts mammals to the forest, and Alicia said the smell of everything, even lotion. Everything in the bed is washed. The navy comforter, synthetic silk pillowcases. The night before, I had gone into the forest without realizing my period was going to come the next day in a perfect oval when I had just got done organizing the bathroom and it was timed elegantly and irregular for its beauty, red and viscous and hungry, like I'd been once before I'd ever loved anybody. And the night before, my friends dragged me camping and it was Tahoe and dark, but I was laid in a thermal sleeping bag feeling a dam between my legs, and for a moment I felt like the Miriam I had been named. Brows smeared with the effort of crossing my ankles, and even though no one would come with me outside, I ventured a couple of feet from our yellow tent and squatted for the dirt for 4 minutes. I swear the Jordan left me, and my friend laughed from inside. She said I was prolific, and I was. Thank you. This next poem is called Pun It with Amy Winehouse. This comes from my 11th grade biology class, which think I have learned how to make Punnett squares, but I still don't understand why they're so fun, because for the rest of the class, I don't think I understood any other concept as well. But Punnett with Amy Winehouse. Like dime store gold, I pile on a couch for the holiday and shine like rust. I am 6, the television is blaring. Her hair, a beehive, crosses piled on her neck. She scats her indigo stomach, Marlboros, staccato body, battered jeans. Algorithm. Amy makes a pattern with her throat. Screen stutters. Music is a technology. I serenade the headline from my marrow. Her voice iridescent, my Arabic like me bent and arching, us on the kitchen floor reciting my stomach. Amy opens her mouth with a country in it and croons my ribs open. Pimped, my dress blossoms loudly, and it is Boston. Bent her testament, my tattered breast. Pimped words are business. We bleed glaude for the audience, and we confess elegant without confessing. There is the photo of her in an insincere smile. Dad liked to say we were descended from royalty. He was lying, but I walked like I believed him. The screen cracks, we pour in jasmine rain, oranges. We peer back. I have a brittle conviction I will make a beautiful woman. Thank you. This next poem is called This Country Smells of Not Enough Doctor's Offices. So I sit in my room, do useless things. I wait for the demise of the state, rewatch Vampire Diaries, order pancakes from IHOP, riddled with blueberries. The officers switch lines in front of us, badges glistening like chrysalis. If given the chance, I'd ruin a man like a monument, use my acrylics to model history into him. I drink tangerine juice, put on the windows, stars, a cluster of empty parks. I retch America into the sink. I wear silk. My uncle works in a hospital. The neighbors disfigure a top 40 song next door, and men who look like mine watch other men like the officer does, and thus the officer is replicated in the liquor store, and the law preserves itself in aisle 7 next to cherries in a jar. A country is desires, appetite, ears, hands, mouth. The hospital I was born in was called Zion. The doctors never warn you about the poem between your legs, and my phone doesn't recognize me anymore. For the girls with the appetite flooding the room, pinning them to their bed, I pick my entrails from the backseat. The officer says, community, who will speak to me of strangers? A torso, a wing, a mouth. And my blood is everywhere, and cheap, even in my feet. I'm keeping my eye on time as well, so I'm going to skip one of my poems and head to How to Lazarus Yourself. Santa Monica and your uncle in an empty house, singing like the interstate. Palms pressed to the pews of the Syriac Catholic Church's fundraised hall, and you see the saints never leave us, even when we can't afford to live in actual Los Angeles. Commiserate about the cost of homes in Chula Vista. Find a soccer player to fill time. A boy is an accessory to a story, tasteless and overpriced. Romanticize absence, chemicals, playing a song you love for friends, and realizing the hook is a little bit lazy. Pass dramatically and selfishly, the way women aren't entitled to motorcycle accidents. Don't make an amenable saint. When the time comes, you intend to die with your libs unsalvageable and yours, somewhere you don't have any cousins, maybe Seattle. Learn to fill a room like Esperanza, inhaling the citrus out the walls and blooming. Kill the constitutions under your bed and survive with an open window and arteries that still function. Afterwards, your poems are gory, but you are still around to write them. Watch your son in the mirror. Call your mother and talk about traffic or the cost of apples. Don't mention the insomnia or her portrait of the sun bleeding out. All right. So I'm gonna read 2 more poems for y'all. The next one is The Algorithm Picks Her Bugs in the Mirror. This Wednesday, I dyed my hair the color of lithium. I have cataracts from an iPhone 6 when a man in a municipal building died. I meant he was sitting on a plastic chair in a hospital and his face was split like a bruised marigold. His motherboard had left a yellow purse by the entrance. He was never young like that again. I dyed my hardware the color of lie. My cousin drowned in chrome, but I can run myself any dress I lose. I met California on a public domain. Desire is a logic. There's a corner of my womb in someone's browser history. There's a byline beneath my arms I can't pinch. If someone doesn't kiss me soon, I'm going to take this skin off. All right, this next and final poem that I have for you guys is One Day We'll Grow Mint Plants to Maturation, and it's for my girlfriend. There's an epigraph called We'll Have a Garden Where I Grow You Red Onions. They said it, not me. And love teaches us minute things. That I get angry at missing you, that you need 20 to 30 minutes to pout, or else they said to have a grief time to rest its legs. We both take a good amount of minutes to genuflect. We both cry slow and quiet sometimes. You have a smile that could bridge the Jordan. My hands get purple in the snow. I still have too little blood, but more hemoglobin, less afraid. I roll you a chamomile cigarette. You fry shrimp on a quiet Thursday after work. You hum in your sleep. That is my set for tonight. Thank you everyone who came and everyone who opened. It has been a joy to spend this evening with everyone.
Thank you for reading these wonderful poems. There's so many things I want to say about all of them, but I mean, the forms are fantastic. I had never thought about making poems look like buildings before, in a quite literal sense, with the How to Lazarus Yourself one. That just had a moment of my brain being exploded by that. So thank you for introducing me to that idea. Just a lot of really wonderful moments I loved in all of these. This Country Smells of Not Enough Doctors' Offices just is one of my favorite poems that you've done. So I was really happy that you read it. Just because the beginning, I sit in my room, I do useless things, I wait for the demise of the state, is a really wonderful image for me personally. Just the combination of settings. It's really wonderful and masterful. So just thank you for reading these. Also, for folks, just to know, I'm putting it in the chat, but How to Make an Algorithm in the Microwave is for sale. Definitely go and check it out. Get it at your library, get it from Bookshop or anywhere else that you get your books from. It is wonderful, and the cover is gorgeous. So definitely check that out. But thank you all so much for coming. We are delighted that you came to our reading. Thank you to all of our opening readers. Thank you to Maya. Thank you to our interpreter, Catherine. We are grateful to have everyone come together to make this happen. Have a great rest of your Easter. We are delighted that you came. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Happy Easter, and thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Open Mouth.
Thank you.
Bye.